kind of moving on here a little bit to some more hypothetical stuff, but I still think it relates to our Pistons. Let's say the Pistons front office, they want to, Brooklyn, for example, have 3 first-round picks at 19, 26, and 27, which who knows what they do with them, but let's just say the Pistons traded for one of those ones at 26 or 27. A guy I've seen a lot of Pistons fans talking about is Maxime Renault out of Stanford, 7'1" center. I'll let you talk to his game a little bit more, but on top of him, is there anyone else you could see in that range if the Pistons were to move up 10 spots that could fit some of the needs we spoke about in like a true 7-footer, some shooting in the front court, some of the other needs?
Yeah, I think, just starting with Renault, I think he checks a lot of those boxes. And he was somebody who I initially thought might end up being there at 37. And then after everybody had gone back to college and he starts to, rise and his stock rises more into like the 20s range or maybe even higher than that, that starts to become a little bit more out of reach. But as a potential trade-up candidate, he is a 7-footer who can space the floor, score on the interior. He may not be the most defensive-leaning guy as a rim protector or somebody who's just going to, dominate possessions on that end. But I do think he moves well enough. He's at least improved there over his career to, survive in the NBA. But I think that he's at least somebody who, with his size and shooting ability and ability to attack closeouts, make a play from there, like he's somebody who a lot of teams are going to be interested in and could come in and contribute at least as a third big and somebody who can change pace and open up the floor for a lot of people. And specifically for this Pistons team, I think you get really interesting with the lineups. Maybe you play, year 2, Ron Holland, you got Asar out there with Cade. Like you could get really interesting if you have that legitimate floor spacer and somebody who, can kind of open things up. And especially when you're talking about running a pick and roll with Cade and attracting attention there. So he's not seeing 2 to the ball as easily. Somebody who can, change the dimensions of the floor in that way. I think he's somebody who, checks a lot of those boxes that you would want. Again, like it starts to become interesting. You might actually have to trade up to, 19 to be sure that you could, potentially get him or something like that. But he's somebody who I think the Pistons will be, high on in that area. But somebody else I would say, in that mix is Drake Powell from UNC. He's a freshman wing, didn't have the best offensive season, kind of looked a little tentative at times, but his skill set as a 3-and-D guy, one of the better wing defenders in the class, somebody who can, knock down a shot at the least. I think that he would fit in pretty well here. He kind of matches a lot of what you've seen from Asar and Ron Holland, at least defensively, but, he's a little bit further along as a shooter. So I think that he could get in that mix as well as a potential trade-up candidate in that late first-round area. And then I would also throw Ryan Kalkbrenner in there as the other guy.
I thought you might say him.
Yeah. He's another guy who I think will probably be available in that range somewhere. Over his 5 years at Creighton, he was a big-time rim protector. I believe he won three Defensive Players of the Years in the Big East. Block shots, can finish plays. Pretty simple role. It's not really much else he's giving you beyond that. He can step out a little bit and shoot the 3. I don't think you would bank on that in the same way you would from a Renault or, some other guys in the league who stretch the floor. But he's somebody who has a backup 5 and giving you more minutes of rim protection and kind of solidifying the defense as a whole. I think that he could be a great option for this Pistons team too.
I love it. Those are definitely some names I've had a brief look at, and I'm going to dive into a little more for sure. Before we move off the 2025 draft, just some more general stuff, not Pistons related. Who is who is your favorite player in this class? Like just a player that the style of player you like. Like, is there anyone that stands out? And then second, who would be your biggest sleeper, or who are you higher on than the consensus?
Yeah, so I would probably say my favorite player in this class is Dylan Harper, and I know he's going in all likelihood he's going number 2, so that's kind of a mainstream pick. But I really do like the way that he controls the game. He's able to get to the bucket. Big guards with size and the ability to make plays in a lot of different ways, and potentially create shots from all over the floor. That's kind of my favorite type of player. So he would probably be my favorite guy to watch. I would say, in terms of sleepers, it is always hard to kind of get a gauge there because you never know when guys are going to rise. Even somebody like Cedric Howard, who, if you asked me this question 4 weeks ago, I probably would have said him as somebody who was a sleeper, and now he might go in the lottery. He might go top 10, for all we know. But I would say at this point in time, somebody like Javon Small from West Virginia would probably be my sleeper. He's a smaller guard, but I think that the way that he's able to impact the game in multiple ways, you watch him at West Virginia this year, carrying that team with Tucker DeVries going down. His ability to, shoot the pull-up three, make plays, defend, better athlete than, you might expect as well. He's somebody who I think could be a sleeper pick as a contributor guard who, right now on mocks, you might find somewhere in the late 40s into, maybe the undrafted range. So he would be probably my sleeper pick right now.
I love it.